Casey, are you there?
You can see me.
Hi. Oh, your foot's on my leg. I got it.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi.
How you doing?
Pretty good. So as you know, we're here to read the Bible.
Woo!
Yes, and King David this week. Oh boy.
He has a bad week.
He does.
Yeah.
He has a real bad week. Anyways, so you ready for this?
I'm holding my butt.
Hold your butt.
Yep.
Last time, some shady stuff happened with some siblings. And if you guys don't remember, Absalom, he's the one that protected Tamar last time or whatnot.
Tammy
protected Tammy last time. So Absalom, though, he comes back and he's a playa. He pimp walks through the town. All the women want his dick and his hair. Now, David needs to see Joab for whatever the fuck reason. So, like everybody does, when they want to get somebody's attention, sets his lawn on fire. And it's like a crazy fucking axe, but that's how they signal people.
Yeah.
The crazy axes
in the trailer park.
Yep. They set their lawns on fire and then moon them and make their butts talk like Ace Ventura.
What?
Get out here, Joab! I need to talk! Y'all didn't see that, but I fully bent over and opened my ass up.
He didn't. Yeah,
I did. So anyways, Joab gets the message and responds by coming to King D. King D French kisses the fuck out of Joab and makes up with him.
Not Joab, Absalom.
Absalom? Oh, okay. Well, this is the shitty portion of the show.
Sorry.
Thank you. So anyways, Absalom then uses word of mouth to take over an entire region called Hebron, which I'm guessing was named for like some kind of bird or something. Maybe that's heron. Anyways, David then leaves for exile because he thinks people are after him to kill him, and I'm guessing that's Absalom's doing. But anyways, in order to slow his attackers and assassins down, he leaves behind 10 concubines, so they'll take them out first and then come after David. But he's got enough time to get away before they're done with all the concubines. Don't worry about it. So then some rando guy joins David in exile for some reason. I don't know. I don't know what the significance of that is, but apparently he needs another fuckboy. So David then needs to pawn off the Ark of the Covenant in Jerusalem. I'm guessing to get some quick cash because he's got to make it escape and he's got to live in exile and stuff. So he just hits up the local pawn shop there for the Ark. That's gotta blow that pawn shop guy's mind, right? Everybody's thinking of the Pawn Stars meme right now.
Don't look at me during this portion and ask, right?
Right. Mm-mm. So anyways, yada, 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 a lot of shit happens, and then James Bond infiltrates the inner circle, and then some shish kebab attacks his inner circle with rocks. David then narcs on his family, which is real fucking shitty, so God curses him for being a dick. Oh my God. The end.
Oof. That was rough.
I don't know. I feel like that's probably one of my best ones.
Is this opposite day?
Nope.
Okay.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? So today on the Daily Bible Podcast, we're going to be talking about all of that shit that we just discussed, which is totally accurate. In no way did I embellish that. So we really only have to go over the finer points, right?
Sure, honey.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Today we're going to be talking about 2 Samuel chapter 14, and we're actually going to start at verse 25. Just for any of you who might be following along, we're also going to go through chapter 15 and the beginning of chapter 16 through verse 14. There's also a section in here at the end. There's also a section in here that's Psalm 3. I'm not going over Psalm 3. There's really no reason. It's just a prayer, whatever. If you want to go read it, read Psalm 3.
You know how these Israelites still? Yeah, they're still Israelites. Mm-hmm. You know how these Israelites are about psychically transmitting their thoughts to their deity up there. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just do it all the time. They get a whole book about it.
Okay, so are you ready for me to start?
Yes, I want to hear more story. I want to hear about Absalom as a player because I have that written down, and I'm really interested to see how many women he plays.
Well, that's not really in here. So
what?
So let's start real quick. Last time, so we get everybody calibrated. If you haven't recently watched last episode,
why haven't you? Go back and watch it now.
Don't watch it now. Watch this now.
Later.
Whatever.
After the show.
So Absalom is David's son, and David had another son, Amnon, who raped Absalom's sister so Absalom and Amnon were half brothers. Tamar and Absalom were full siblings. Okay. Well, so Amnon raped Tamar. And Absalom came up with this scheme so he could kill Amnon. So he did, and then he kind of went into hiding because he was scared because he killed his brother, and obviously David was going to be upset about it. So at the end of last week, we had Joab going to get Absalom after him being in exile sort of for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we ended. I wanted to get you calibrated because we're starting right in the middle of that story. So in all of Israel, there was not a man so highly praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the top of his head to the sole of his foot, there was no blemish in him.
Nah, he was sexy as fuck. He was like Thor before he got fat.
I don't know, but but I mean, obviously there was something wrong because they cut off the tip of his dick, right? So whenever he cut the hair on his head, he used to cut his hair from time to time when it became too heavy for him. He would weigh it, and its weight was 200 shekels by the royal standard. So I don't know who was buying his hair. But
I don't know, but that's like fucking Superman hair right there.
Well, it says shekels, so that's a weight here. It's about 5 pounds. So whenever he would weigh his hair that he cut off, it would be 5 pounds. I'm not sure why that was necessary, but whatever. So anyway.
He probably had some massive dreadlocks.
I have no idea. So 3 sons and a daughter were born to Absalom. The daughter's name was Tamar, so he named his daughter after his sister. Right? Mm-hmm. And she became a beautiful woman. Absalom lived 2 years in Jerusalem without seeing the king's face. Because when he came back, when the king allowed him to come back to Jerusalem, he didn't want to see him. And it took 2 years. Right?
Oh, wow. That's a long shunning right there.
When it had already been 2 years. So it'd been 4 years technically. Because he was out of Jerusalem for 2 years.
Right.
Okay. So then Absalom sent for Joab in order to send him to the king, but Joab refused to come to him, so he sent a second time, but he refused to come. Then he said to his servants, "Look, Joab's field is next to mine, and he has barley there. Go and set it on fire." So Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab did go to Absalom's house, and he said to him, "Why have your servants set my field on fire?"
You know, I feel like if this were to take place, like, in current times, it'd be like, "Yo, motherfucker! What the hell?"
Well, and it's funny because he's like, "All right, this is totally reasonable. If you won't come fucking talk to me, I'll set your lawn on fire, and then I'll bring your ass over here."
Well, I mean, can you just imagine the awkward conversation? They're both standing out in their front yards, and it's like his yard is ablaze, and you're just like, the fuck?
Right? So Absalom said to Joab, "Look, I sent word to you and said, 'Come here so I can send you to the king and ask, why have I come from Jeshurun? It would be better for me if I were still there. Now then, I want to see the king's face, and if I am guilty of anything, let him put me to death.' So Joab went to the king and told him this. Then the king summoned Absalom, and as he came in and bowed down with his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom.
Oh, that's the Frenchin.
Well,
the king French kissed Absalom.
He probably kissed his head or something. That's disgusting. Please don't make that noise or that whatever that was. Let's not do that. So anyway, so they made up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Honestly, Absalom's lucky. I know that Absalom's his son, right?
Right.
But he's lucky David didn't fuck him.
What?
I mean, David's fucked multiple guys in the past. So he made up with him and everything. I mean, you know, it just kind of seems like he might. No?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, in the course of time, and we're starting 2 Samuel chapter 15 right now.
Okay.
In the course of time, Absalom provided himself with a chariot and horses and with 50 men to run ahead of him. He would get up early and stand by the side of the road, leading it to the city gate. Whenever anyone came with a complaint to be placed before the king for a decision, Absalom would call out to him, "What town are you from?" He would answer, "Your servant is from one of the tribes of Israel." Then Absalom would say to him, "Look, your claims are valid and proper, but there is no representative of the king to hear you." Then Absalom would add, if only I were appointed judge in the land, then everyone who has a complaint or case would come to me, and I would see that it gets justice." Also, whenever
shade.
Yeah, so he wanted a position of political power.
Right.
That's what he was gunning for, right? So whenever anyone approached him to bow down before him, he would reach out his hand, take a hold of him, and kiss him. Absalom behaved in this way toward all of the Israelites who came to the king asking for justice. And so he stole the hearts of the men of Israel.
Okay. You know what this reminds me of?
What?
Oh, who was that original Family Feud host who had to kiss everybody that was a guest on the show?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
So the old, maybe I should look this up real quick, but so the old Family Feud host, it's the original Family Feud host, Richard Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
He's the original one, and every time they had people on the show, he kissed every single one of the women.
Like on the mouth?
No, maybe not on the mouth, but just like very intrusively, like insisted upon like kissing them like on the cheek and everything.
It looks like us in the 70s. When did that happen?
Oh yeah, it was like 70s.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure he was pretty intrusive, and people probably didn't think a lot of it, except for the women who he was violating their personal space.
Well, true, but I mean, like he wouldn't just do this to the adult women though. I mean, it was like whenever they had like smaller children on theirs, he would also kiss them like on the cheek or whatnot. But he just very intrusive about it. SNL has made a few like jokes at his expense.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, that's what Absalom reminds me of, the creepy guy on Feud.
Yeah, but so basically however he was behaving with the people who would come and have a complaint, he showed that he cared, he listened, even though he couldn't do anything about it. And so he became beloved. People loved him. And so at the end of 4 years, Absalom said to the king, "Let me go to Hebron and fulfill a vow I made to the Lord. While your servant was living at Jeshur in Aram, I made this vow. If the Lord takes me back to Jerusalem, I will worship the Lord in Hebron." Then Absalom sent secret messengers throughout the tribes of Israel to say, "As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, then say, 'Absalom is the king in Hebron.'" 200 men from Jerusalem had accompanied Absalom. They had been invited as guests and went quite innocently, knowing nothing about the matter. When Absalom was offering sacrifices, he also sent for the I forgot to look this word up. What's this word?
Ahithophel.
Ahithophel.
Oh, okay.
Ahithophel? I think that's what it is. Anyway, he is a Gilonite. And he was David's counselor, and so he sent for him to come from Gilo, his hometown. And so the conspiracy gained strength, and Absalom's following kept increasing. So some of these people knew what was happening, and some of them did not.
Right.
All right. So a messenger came and told David, the hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom. Then David said to all of his officials who were with him in Jerusalem, "Come, we must flee, or none of us will escape from Absalom." So they were scared he was going to kill them all. I'm assuming because of how he killed Amnon.
Well, right. Well, I mean, I don't understand. Like, this is supposed to be King David. Like, does he have so little power at this point that he can't protect himself?
He clearly thought he had little power because there were people, Absalom was gaining a following. People really loved him. And so, I mean, that's kind of how takeovers happen in monarchy kind of situations like this.
Right.
So, yeah, he was his son. So, people probably, even if they loved him, he was still David's son. So they weren't being disloyal to David. But it was like a conspiracy that kind of took shape and people didn't really realize what was happening for the most part.
Yeah.
So David said, "We must flee or none of us will escape him. We must leave immediately or he will move quickly to overtake us and bring ruin upon us and put the city to the sword." The king's officials answered him, "Your servants are ready to do whatever our lord the king chooses." The king set out with his entire household following him, but he left 10 concubines to take care of the palace. So the king set out with all the people following him, and they halted at a place some distance away. All his men marched past him along with the Kerethites and Pelethites, and more than 600 Gittites who had accompanied him from Gath marched before the king. The king, so he started talking to this guy. The king said to Ittai the Gittite, "Why should you come along with us? Go back and stay with King Absalom. You are a foreigner, an exile from your homeland. You came only yesterday, and today I shall make you wander about with us when I do not know where I am going. Go back and take your countrymen. May kindness and faithfulness be with you." But Ittai replied to the king, "As surely as the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king may be, whether it means life or death, there will your servant be." David said to Ittai, "Go ahead, march on." So Ittai the Gittite marched on with all of his men, and his family was there with him. Okay?
Okay.
So the whole countryside wept aloud as all the people passed by. The king also crossed the Kidron Valley, and all the people moved on towards the desert. Zadok was there too, and all the Levites who were with him were carrying the Ark of the Covenant of God. They set down the Ark of God, and Abiathar offered sacrifices until all the people had finished leaving the city. Then the king said to Zadok, "Take the ark of God back into the city. If I find favor in the Lord's eyes, he will bring me back and let me see it and his dwelling place again. But if he says I am not pleased with you, then I am ready. Let him do to me whatever seems good to him." So they were going to take the Ark of the Covenant with them. But David said, "No, take it back."
Right.
Okay. So the king also said to Zadok the priest, "Aren't you a seer? Go back to the city in peace, and with your son Ahimaaz and Jonathan, son of Abiathar. You and Abiathar take your 2 sons with you, and I will wait at the fords of the desert until word comes from you to inform me." So Zadok and Abiathar took the ark of God back to Jerusalem and stayed there.
No, wait, hold on. They didn't pawn it off for money?
No. I don't know where the fuck you got that.
Well, I figured he's going into exile. He needs to get some, money together to get away. I don't know. Seemed legit to me.
Okay. Why would they sell the Ark of the Covenant?
I don't know.
They wouldn't.
Why did they take it in the first place?
Well, because it was going with the king.
Oh. Okay.
It was a source of power. It was God's home place. The place sit God's ass in between the angel wings, remember?
Yeah, I know. Do you think that David absorbs God's power through the putting his ass.
Oh, he's not allowed to sit on. No, he's not allowed to sit there. That's for
Oh.
God's ass.
That's God's ass.
Yeah.
I bet it stinks.
What? Why?
I mean, you think God washes his ass?
I mean, maybe. Does he need to?
I don't know. I mean, he's an old white fuck up there. I mean, I'm sure that he needs angels to wipe his ass.
I don't know. If he needed that, how good of a god would he really be?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he used up all of his power on us.
I feel like the phrase "everybody poops" does not apply to God.
Can God poop a poop so big that it rips his asshole?
I don't know.
The answer is no.
Okay. All right. So David continued up the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went. His head was covered, and he was barefoot. All the people with him covered their heads too, and were weeping as they went up. Now David had been told, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. So David prayed, "O Lord, turn Ahithophel's counsel into foolishness." When David arrived at the summit where people used to worship God, Hushai, the Archite, was there to meet him, his robe torn and dust on his head. David said to him, "If you go with me, you will be a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, 'I will be your servant, O king. I was your father's servant in the past, but now I will be your servant,' then you can help me by frustrating Ahithophel's advice. Won't the priests Zadok and Abiathar be there with you? Tell them anything you hear in the king's palace. Their two sons, Ahimaaz, son of Zadok, and Jonathan, son of Abiathar, are there with them. Send them to me with anything you hear." So David's friend Hushai arrived at Jerusalem as Absalom was entering the city. So he sent a spy in.
Right. Oh, that's James Bond.
Well,
Got it.
Yeah. So when David had gone a short distance beyond the summit, there was Ziba, a steward of Mephibosheth.
There was a zebra?
Ziba.
Oh, Zeba. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so Ziba was a steward of Mephibosheth, and he was waiting to meet David. He had a string of donkeys saddled and loaded with 200 loaves of bread, 100 cakes of raisins, 100 cakes of figs, and a skin of wine. The king asked Ziba, "Why have you brought these?" Ziba answered, "The donkeys are for the king's household to ride on. The bread and fruit are for the men to eat, and the wine is to refresh those who have become exhausted in the desert."
I wonder how much a skin of wine is, because if it's just like a little like thing, it's like, hold up. You got all this bready shit here. All of this shit right here, and you're going to give us this one little fucking pouch of wine?
Yeah, like basically nothing to drink. So the king then asked, "Where is your master's grandson?" Ziba said to him, "He is staying in Jerusalem because he thinks, 'Today the house of Israel will give me back my grandfather's kingdom.'" Then the king said to Ziba, "All that belongs to Mephibosheth is now yours." "I humbly bow," Ziba said. "May I find favor in your eyes, my lord the king." So Ziba took over all of Mephibosheth's shit while he was kissing Absalom's ass in Jerusalem. Yeah. David gave him all his shit. So as King David approached Bahurim, a man from the same clan as Saul's family came out from there. His name was Shimei, son of Gera. He cursed as he came out. He pelted David and all the king's officials with stones. Though all the troops and the special guard were on David's right and left. As he cursed, Shimei said, get out, you man of blood, you scoundrel. The Lord has repaid you for all the blood you shed in the household of Saul, in whose place you have reigned. The Lord has handed the kingdom over to your son Absalom. You have come to ruin because you are a man of blood." Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said to the king, "What should this dead dog curse be, my lord the king? Let me go over and cut off his head." But the king said, "What do you and I have in common, you sons of Zeruiah? If he is cursing because the Lord said to him, 'Curse David,' who can I ask, 'Why do you do this?'" or who can ask? Who can ask, why do you do this? David then said to Abishai and all his officials, my son, who is of my own flesh, is trying to take my life. How much more then this Benjamite, whatever that means. Leave him alone. Let him curse, for the Lord has told him to. It may be that the Lord will see my distress and repay me with good for the cursing I am receiving today. So David and his men continued along the road while Shimei was going along the hillside opposite him, cursing as he went and throwing stones at him and showering him with dirt. The king and all the people with him arrived at their destination exhausted, and there he refreshed himself. So after that, it has the Psalm of David, a Psalm of David where he fled from his son Absalom, Psalm 3. Mm-hmm. So you can check that out if you want to. It's kind of like prayer, like song, kind of sing-songy shit. It really doesn't say anything important. And that's all for today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So next time, you want to hear what's going on next time? You got anything to say about any of this?
No, not really. I mean, I don't really know what to say about it. It's just sort of like boring, extraneous story. Yeah, none of this really seems to be all that important. But next time we have where Hushai feigns loyalty to Absalom, the guy that David sent. And Absalom defiles the concubines. Yeah, he does. And that means he makes them do anal.
Well, and then some of them he gets some advice, and then a message is sent to David. Ahithophel actually commits suicide, so we're going to have some of that. There's some more battle, and spoiler alert, Absalom is killed.
Ah.
Yeah, so we're going to have that. And we're going to have where David was told of his death and he mourned for his son. So.
Well, I mean, he was scared of his son, but now he mourns for his son.
Well, I mean, his son died, so he's sad about that. I mean, I can imagine even if your son had wronged you and, kicked you out of your kingdom, that you'd still be sad if he died.
Yeah, I see this happening with Xander when he kicks me out of my recliner in the future.
That's not going to happen because I won't allow it.
Not the Xander dying part, but him kicking me out of my throne.
Yeah.
But anyways, heathens, I'm so glad that you guys joined us today. If you haven't checked it out, we did post a small preview of the Skeptic Mafia podcast.
Yeah.
And I guess that we are going to see you heathens next time.
Definitely. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice.
Bye, heathens.
Bye, y'all.